Welcome to the NAMB Podcast, where we bring you the voices that drive the mortgage industry. Join dynamic hosts Ginger Bell and Matt Shields as they dive into bold conversations with top experts, industry leaders, and change makers from across the country. From insider insights to game-changing trends, this is your front row seat to what's happening right now in the world of home finance.
Well, hi there. Welcome to another episode of the NAMB Podcast. My name is Ginger Bell, and I have my co-host with me, Matt Shields. How are you today, Matt?
Ginger, I'm doing so good, and I'm so excited for our guest being on today. He's been a great friend of mine for over a decade now. He's like a brother to me. And I got Taylor Rogers, Revolution branch manager at Revolution Mortgage. Taylor, thanks for being here with us.
Absolutely happy to be here.
Yeah, we're
Ginger.
excited to have you here. And Matt, I'm going to let you guys kick it off because one of the things that's great about this podcast is we get to have people on from different backgrounds in the industry. But I love the story of how you guys met. So why don't we start there, because you were really instrumental in getting Taylor into the mortgage industry. So why don't we just start there, and you guys can talk about how you guys met.
Yeah, and Taylor, back in 2015,
Yeah, it's been that long, yeah.
Yeah, so 11 years now. We all moved into an apartment complex at the same time. They just opened. We all moved in together. And then me and Taylor met, hit it off. And then we were in the pool one day. It was a nice pool at the apartment complex. We're in the pool. It was like a Saturday or Sunday, and I'm doing pre-approvals in the pool. And then Taylor came over. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing, man? You're on the phone a bunch." And kind of gave him a quick rundown of the business. And Taylor at the time was doing fine dining, working fine dining, which is an amazing background to get into, the lending business, having that restaurant experience. But he's like, "Hey, how do I get in?" And then a month later, we were working together, and 11 years later, he's branch manager at Revolution Mortgage, having an awesome, successful business.
I love that. So I'm gonna one of the questions, because you say, Taylor, you were hearing Matt making these phone calls during these pre-approvals. You guys are hanging out in the pool, and what caught your attention about that phone calls that he was doing?
So yeah, Matt and I were hanging out in the pool. There may have been an adult beverage or two involved, and we're relaxing. And I'd seen Matt around the apartment complex before. Always dressed very sharply. But then on the weekends, kind of being himself, letting loose. So he's taking calls in the pool, and I'm not trying to eavesdrop, but I'm definitely interested. And he's like, I'm really sorry, I just gotta take a quick call. Oh, congratulations, for going into contract. That's great. I'm gonna send you, next steps, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, in contract, what is that? So it's, hey Matt, just want to know kind of, what you're doing. Oh, I have clients that, pre-approved last month. They've been looking for a home. They finally went into contract. So, telling them next steps. And I'm like, so you do like mortgages? You help them, buy their home? Yeah, absolutely. It's just kind of a process that they go through. And honestly, I didn't even really know that was a thing. So I was like,
really
super interesting. And then Matt one day was just like, come into the office, come shadow me, just kind of see what my day-to-day is like. And, if it's something that you think that, you could possibly see yourself doing, then, study for the test, pass the test, and, you have a job waiting for you. So.
awesome.
And he knocked the test out, got licensed, and just crazy, just seeing Taylor, you're my brother, man, seeing your growth year over year, getting in the business, you making your connections, building your own path. Like, you've really done an awesome job building your own path for what you're doing in the industry. And just to be a branch manager, man, that's such an awesome accomplishment that most people don't get to do. And look at you now, man. It's amazing to see. And just love seeing my friend out there doing his thing.
Well, and I love the fact of recruiting too, without recruiting. Just, having part of your day-to-day, just having people say, "Hey man, what are you doing?" Let's talk about that first year, because I know, Matt, for the young professionals in your group, a lot of them are just getting started. And so that first year, and Taylor, having a mentor like Matt, I'm sure was an incredible difference in your first year. So tell me about your first year. What was that like?
Yeah, it was instrumental having someone like Matt and that kind of personal tutelage to really help guide you through that first year. The first year, as everyone knows, is tough. It's challenging. Deal with a lot of rejection. You kind of, it's hard to find your footing sometimes. So, Matt was producing at a very high level early on in his career, and I got to see a lot of that firsthand. He was someone that was like, come sit in the office with me, listen to me take phone calls, listen to me take apps. So I got a lot of reps early on just by, being with Matt that weren't necessarily my own reps, but it got me all of that experience. Something about the mortgage industry, I really feel like there's no shortcut to experience.
Mhm.
But when you have someone like Matt, someone that's willing to take the time to kind of pull you aside and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, come listen to me, really helped shorten that kind of learning curve for me. And yeah, I mean, that's just something that I'll personally never forget. It helped me out so immensely in those first early years that, it really got me so much further down the line.
Then you created your own style. You saw how I did things. You saw other people in the office did their business, and you've done an awesome job to take those things, but make it your own and your voice and authentic to you. And man, seeing you grow your business, man, it's been awesome. Like I said, having being a branch manager now, but you had it in you the whole time. You know what I mean? You just needed someone to help with a little guidance, kind of keep you in the guardrails. Hey, do this, don't do this. And you're a quick learner. So after a year, you were really hitting the pavement, going to meetings, meeting with financial advisors, meeting with realtors, divorce attorneys. And then I remember you had a handful of connections to start from people in the restaurant business who became agents. So really working that sphere of who you knew.
Yeah, so let's talk about that because, you start out first year, have the opportunity to listen to Matt, listen to his team, kind of hone your own style. And I think that's important when you're, going into sales is to have the base, right? So here's what you need to start with, but then also to bring your personality in and to be okay with that because that's what brings the success for you is to be able to find your own style. When did you decide, hey, I want to lead, I want to have my own team? What was that like?
Um, I don't think there's ever a point where you're like, hey, I really want to build out a team, under myself. I've been focused on my own business for a long time, and something that I've always had aspirations to do. And Matt definitely, pushed for me to, think about that. He was, when I work with Matt, he always had an eye to like really develop me as a loan officer, but then to see me grow to then do what he's doing and build out a team under him. So I don't know that there was ever really a time where it was like, hey, I've decided, yes, I want to start, building my own team. I think that's something that just kind of maybe naturally happens for some people in the industry. I definitely feel like that was Matt's approach. Maybe I don't know if he can speak to that, but just seeing the production and the success that he had doing his own business, I think naturally draws people in to want to learn from that. So I think that's kind of maybe more organically how it happens. Matt, I don't know if you'd agree with that necessarily or not, but that's kind of how I view myself and what you've done.
For me, it's if someone's coming asking questions, I'm always here to help. It doesn't mean they necessarily have to work with me. Always here to be a resource. But my goal is if you love the knowledge you're getting from me, come join the team. There's always a place. So I love how you said it. My approach has always been very organic, and always the right fit. My biggest thing is this person somebody who self-motivated? Can they motivate themselves to get out and do their day? Do they have ideas? Because I don't know everything. And I love hearing, I've hired some new people recently and I love hearing the ideas they bring. Whole different mindset. What can I take from you to grow my business too? So for me, it's like, how can I just be a leader? I'm not a boss. I'm a leader. This is what works for me. Give me your secrets too. Let's just grow an awesome business together. and it just naturally happens, man. But you were so ready to take that next step for yourself. You know what I mean? And go out and be your own guy. Of course, I love when I have someone on the team, and my goal is let me train you to stay forever. But I'm never going to hold someone back from taking that next step for them, and going out and making their name. And Taylor, you've trailblazed your own path, man. And I love now meeting I'll meet a realtor out in the streets. They're like, "Oh, I know Taylor. That's my guy. I love him." And I'm like, "Me too." I get it. You're just doing a great job, man. It's so awesome to watch.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
I mean,
it's the camaraderie, and here's the thing, and Matt, this is what I love about NAMB, and so much of everything that NAMB does and you're doing with young professionals is, even though you're technically competitors, you live in the same city, calling on probably some of you in the same real estate agents and everything, and even though you're not with the same company, you're still helping each other grow your business. And that's one of the many advantages of being involved in an organization like NAMB is you can do that. And it's not like, oh man, you're not on my team, I'm not going to talk to you and anything like that, but being able to help elevate everyone together. And you, Taylor, have had the opportunity now to really, attend some events at NAMB. And so let's talk about that. I think, Matt, you said the first live event that you went to, Taylor, was NAMB Focus, which was in Florida, right?
Yeah. So NAMB Focus was really kind of like the kickoff event of the year. The reason that I went, having joined NAMB, somewhat recently, I enjoy like mortgage conferences. I enjoy hearing from people that have had success, hearing different perspectives. And the feeling I've always got with NAMB is just a big community of collaboration. Like you just said, Matt and I are in the same market. Technically we are competitors. But when you join a organization like NAMB, it's just such a brotherhood. Everyone wants to see everyone else succeed. They share, success stories. They share failures. They share, challenges, because we all feel, those things together. And again, this industry, you can really face a lot of rejection, a lot of, difficult times. Loans aren't easy to do. So it's nice to know that other people are going through what you're going through. It's nice to know that people are, feeling what you're feeling, the, pressures from the market, outside factors, things like that. So I wanted to go to NAMB Focus just to really kind of kick off the year and really hear from some fantastic speakers. Great lineup, motivational speakers. I'm a big Barry Habib guy, MBS Highway. Shout out Barry for Fed Chair, by the way. So Barry's one of the speakers. He really gives a lot of insight in the market and, what we can expect to happen from the, economic standpoint of things. But yeah, it's just good to be around those kind of people. It's a great kickoff to the year. Really kind of gets me motivated, kind of gets me, hungry to go out and find more business, more opportunities, and really just share a room with people that are like-minded like you. So
an awesome way to start the year off, motivated, get the year rolling. Then we slid into the advocacy conference in DC. And totally different style conference. What was your big takeaway from being out in DC, man?
So Matt was your first year last year or 2 years ago, Matt?
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Okay. So Matt told me from the first time that he went out, he was like, Taylor, you got to join NAMB. And if you do one thing all year, you have to come out for the advocacy event. Oh. It's like, it's completely unique from anything else that you've ever experienced. There's an air in DC, you go out there and everything kind of feels a little bit more important. Yeah. And, just seeing firsthand what kind of an impact you can have by, talking to, your representatives, educating them on the struggles that their constituents are having, pressures that people are feeling every day from, trying to make their mortgage payment. And, the good that you can do, getting the Trigger Leads Act passed and into effect, that has direct effect on absolutely everyone. And they may not know where that came from. They may not know that that was a, NAMB initiative started years and years ago that finally went into effect. but they feel it. And it's, it's that sense of being able to impact not just the people that you work with every day, not just your clients and your buyers, but the housing industry as a whole. So it was just really cool going out there. Kind of, we did a tour of the Capitol building.
Yeah.
We met with, both of Ohio's senators this year. It was really cool, very, very unique, and honestly lived up to everything that Matt said about it. It was a really cool experience.
What have you done after this? Because that's one of the things, and Matt, you're really good about bringing it back around into your business. Because it's one thing, to be involved in NAMB as a volunteer organization, but it's also taking that, what you learn, and bringing it back onto the streets and back into your business and back to real estate agents. So what have you done with that so far since you've been back? And I know it hasn't even been, I think it's been a month, but have you been doing something with that? I know, Matt, you've been doing stuff in your business.
You start off the social media, Taylor. When we were there, you did a great job of letting everybody know where you were and what you were doing. And you were ahead of the game. You were ahead of me on the game. I'd go post something. I'm like, hey, Taylor's already posted like 3 or 4 things. So, that was a great way of just showing everybody to start off where you're at and what you're doing and how you're not a loan officer. You are somebody who cares about this industry, who is giving back your time, spending your money to go be there away from your family, to go advocate on behalf of the industry. Like, powerful, so powerful. But Taylor's, like she was saying, taking it back. So I know you got started on social. How's your conversations with realtors been, since you've been back?
To be honest, I haven't done as much as I need to, kind of with my experience. I am jumping on someone else's podcast and kind of talking about, all of the changes that, NAMB wants to kind of put into play this year and, everything else. But just having conversations with, my referral partners. And I think a big thing it kind of made them realize is that, we truly care. Like you said, this is a volunteer organization. We take our own time and our own money to go and do these things to better the industry as a whole. And I think that it just kind of speaks to people's willingness to go out and help people that, they're not necessarily our clients. And I think people appreciate that, it's nice to feel that someone is like, being a custodian of the industry and, fighting for home buyers, whether or not they're actually working with them directly.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're not just, taking that next step. You're actually going beyond and working on home ownership and, doing the advocacy, which is so important as well. Matt, what are some of the things that you've done in your business? I know you recently had an event as well, which was a little bit different because it was fundraising, right?
Yeah. Big charity event recently. I do a big charity every year for pancreatic cancer for my dad. But just, bringing family together, friends together, past clients together, just bring in my sphere. Because for me, it's like when I'm doing these events, how can we get our sphere together? Myself, people on my team, synergy from other agents. But I love I love a party aspect. When I say a party aspect, I love to see people having fun together and making relationships. Because that's, what NAMB does. Getting together, making relationships. That's what I'm doing here in local market, getting people together who might not know each other. And one of my favorite takeaways of these events is seeing 2 people who had no idea who they were going into the event, becoming friends, making a connection, and they carry that relationship afterwards. And having that mindset of just being a connector, connecting anybody you can, giving back, how we're talking about we're competitors in this business. We're competitors, but we're friends. It's all about giving. And if you're just coming with that giving mindset all the time, you're going to get more than you give. You just got to give first. So that's kind of my takeaway from what we're doing at NAMB, what we're doing in our local businesses, how we're all sharing our secrets. It's just be a giver, and then you'll be blessed in so many ways you can't even imagine.
Yeah. I always love that, the whole giving mindset. And I learned this from Jack Canfield. It's like there's 2 ways you can give. You can give palm up, we're expecting something in return, or you can give palm down, that you're truly giving and you're not expecting that in return. And people can tell the difference. They really can. So You talked about the events you're doing. Do you do educational events, Taylor? Are you doing some educational events for your consumers or for your real estate partners, your referral partners, things like that? How are you building your business? What's your secret right now? Sounds like you're doing social media, so that's good. What are some of the other things that you're doing for business building?
Yeah, definitely focus on education for our referral partners, because a lot of times there are solutions that they're just not aware of that we have. So if they're not aware that we can solve their problem, then we're never going to get that referral. So really making sure that our referral partners are educated on opportunities and possibilities for them. But then really I lean in pretty heavily on educating our clients. I think that's one of the single biggest differentiators in our market, which here in Columbus is honestly very, very competitive. So taking time to educate clients on their options, on the process as a whole. I mean, I had a pretty bad experience when I bought my first house. I'm not going to lie. This is before I got into the industry. I had a loan officer who was referred to us, and he kind of made us feel very silly for asking questions that, honestly, we didn't understand what was happening. It was kind of, frustrating. So anyway, long story short, found myself sitting at the closing table, which should be a huge celebration, milestone met, buying our first house, that kind of thing. And I just wanted to get it over with. I wanted to get out of there. I didn't understand what I was signing. And it was, it was really a bad experience, to be completely honest. So, fast forward, Matt got me into the industry, and I really just kind of went at it as, I never want anyone that works with me to ever feel that way. I want them to feel totally comfortable asking me any kind of questions. I always tell people there's no such thing as a bad question. Please ask away. I'm here to make this process as transparent for you as possible, because ultimately, at the end of the day, when people are more educated at the process, they're more comfortable and they make decisions based on logic versus emotion. And, ultimately, at the end of the day, that'll save them money, both long-term and short-term, when it comes to buying a house. So the education aspect for me is really big. And it really also kind of goes back to protecting, that person. The more you educate them, ultimately you're protecting them. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of misinformation, in especially the media, things that people hear. Yep. And no offense to any of the parents out there that may be listening, but a lot of misinformation from, people's parents. And that's just simply because, the market has evolved. Yeah. How you go about buying a house and getting a mortgage has changed so much in the last 20 or 30 years. Yeah. So it's not necessarily intentional, but, you really have to make sure that your buyers are up to speed, that they understand the market, they understand the conditions, they really understand, the numbers and the data behind possibly why, maybe stretching your budget and buying a house and paying $10,000 over asking, currently, educating them on, hey, guess what? The house is going to be worth what you're paying for it today in 6 months' time. And you already have the house. You're already getting the appreciation. Right. You're not going up against multiple, offer situations and overpaying for the house even more. Yeah. So there's just a lot that goes into it, but I really feel like loan officers in our market that are really excelling are taking the time to properly educate their clients on, the ways to win, what market's going to do, what we think interest rates are going to do. And, as we've seen recently, no one knows what interest rates are going to do. Yeah, no, but, as best we can kind of guide that, because it's a financial, decision for most people that, we really need to weigh that as heavily as we should.
Well, I love that how you're so into education, man, because you've done such a great job of showing that you have a huge, unique value proposition. You're not a commodity. There are so many bankers and lenders across America, and what you're doing is showing you're not a commodity. You're standing out, and why people need to work with you. And clearly, it's working. Look at your success, man. You're clearly doing everything right.
What are some of the tools besides the conversations that you're having for educating? Are you using any other tools? Do you have like videos you're doing? Do you have like handouts? The reason I ask is that's one of the things at NAMB that we're really focusing on is trying to give tools to originators to help them do that education. Because Taylor, I'm like you. It's like the education, the key is all about the education and understanding not just what the market's doing, but what makes sense for you here, but also long term. So looking at it, yeah, maybe the house is going to go up, a certain percentage, but you have to look at the long term plan as well. So what are some of the tools that you're using for educating?
Yeah, great question. So, Ginger, actually, Matt got me to use Mortgage Coach back in the day. And this is, I
Awesome.
feel like, when most people weren't familiar with the platform. I feel like now it's kind of industry standard. Like if you're not using a platform like Mortgage Coach, and for those of you who don't know what Mortgage Coach is, it's a very buyer friendly way of presenting information as far as mortgage options are concerned. We used it a ton during COVID, during the refinance boom. We were able to convert a lot of people from a 30-year fixed rate into a 15-year fixed rate loan by using Mortgage Coach and illustrating what kind of long-term savings that can be. So definitely use Mortgage Coach a lot. MBS Highway, again, I think is a wealth of knowledge. And honestly, the NAMB app, there's so much good information there that you can very easily kind of, disseminate to all of your clients. There's some really good software out there for sure. And I think that with AI advances and things like that, it's the loan officers that are kind of embracing this new technology and this new way of getting that education piece across to the buyers, are those people that are really going to succeed. So,
Yeah.
Amen. The loan officer who's not using AI is going to be replaced by the one who is. It's as simple as that. And your approach of educating with using the tech together, like, look out. You know what I mean? That's the secret sauce right there.
Yeah.
learn it from you, buddy.
You listen and you implement it well. And I think that's the key is to be able to find the right mentors, stick with it because, as you said, that first year can be challenging. And that's part of the education process also for our loan originators who are listening that are new. Get that education, find those tools, talk to other people, hop on the calls, Matt, with young professionals every month. You're having somebody new on the call. NAMB has a ton of resources. We have our industry partners. And so, stick with it because here's two great examples of, sticking with it and, creating that network. What do they say? Your network is your net worth, not just in terms of your business, but in terms of your growth. And so finding those mentors, people you can work with, and you always want to find someone that's doing better than you to be able to work with, and then keep elevating that. So doing some of those things. Are you a reader, Taylor?
I do read. Yeah.
Okay. So what books
Guidelines almost every day.
what books are you reading right now?
I'm pretty big into like delivery of information. So, oh my gosh, what's his name? Phil Jones.
Oh,
I don't
Phil
know if you know.
Jones, I totally, yes, I am.
Yeah.
Listen to him. He is absolutely fantastic on how the master of words and closing and all that. And he makes it super simple. I actually have his book that I just listened to, and I've sent it over to some friends who are in sales too. It's like, man, this is like gold. Just really making the whole conversation that you're having to where it's very impactful. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. No, I love Phil Jones. It doesn't help or hurt that he's British. I'm also British. I don't know. I moved here years and years ago from England. I obviously no longer have an accent.
You lost your
Fun
accent.
little fact about me: I'm actually British. So yeah, Phil Jones does a really great job of
Yeah,
helping you deliver the information that is palatable, that really kind of resonates with people.
yeah,
Because you can kind of try and ram information down people's throats, but if it doesn't really speak to them and it's not delivered in a way from like a service heart standpoint, then, people very easily kind of like turn off and, they don't want to hear anymore.
Right.
So, we obviously know the information that we want to get across. So delivery, I think, is a big one. So yeah, I highly recommend Phil Jones. He actually has a book specifically for realtors. It's pretty short. It's a short read.
He has some YouTube videos too that I've listened to. That he does some coaching for realtors, and his book. So he has a couple different books. The one that I've been listening to, and I'm actually going to go get the book. I like to listen to books when I'm working out. But this one I think I'm going to go get because I think having that physical copy is important. But it's called Exactly What to Say.
Yep.
That's cool.
Very, very good. Yeah, highly recommend.
Write that one down. Exactly What to Say.
Yeah.
Always looking for a new one. I just finished up about a month ago, Mr. Schmooze.
I haven't heard that one.
I was doing a coaching platform with Zenix Coaching, and then the instructor recommended Mr. Schmooze. So I read it, then I gave it to people on the team here, and it's all about being a connector. It's just in every situation, how can you make that relationship better? If someone needs new tires, well, hey, I got a friend with a tire shop. Let me connect you guys. And if you could just spend so much of your time connecting people and being that positive energy and that relationship builder, crazy how the success you have in your business blowing up. And I gave it to somebody on my team who's newer into sales, like into his own sales recently, and just watched this guy get 2 contracts in his first really week of being here.
Well, and that connector is so important, Matt, because when you are that connector, my background, I do training. I help companies develop and implement training programs. Yep. And so if anybody needs something that's based around training, then they'll, shoot me an email or give me a call. Rob Christman will say, hey, who can do this? And then maybe it's something I can't do. I had Todd Duncan just the other day reach out, and he's like, hey, do you know somebody that can do this? And it doesn't have to be that you can do it. We actually used to call that the canoodler. I don't know where we came up with that.
Canoodler, okay.
Canoodler. But it's like, just be that resource, Matt. I mean, that's awesome. Where you're like, hey, who do you know that can do this? And again, it's that giving that, palm down rather than the palm up mindset.
And when you're giving, making that connection, well, your sphere and their sphere now blends in together. And look how big that sphere comes.
Yeah.
And the bigger the sphere, the more blessed everyone's going to be,
Yeah, I love that. So great books, great recommendations. I absolutely love that. Taylor, I want to leave with, and again, we go back to, a lot of those people who are just getting started, maybe a year or 2 into the industry. What's the one piece of advice that you would give to someone to say, hey, you got this?
I'm going to give 2 pieces of advice to someone just starting out in the industry. I really think first and foremost, you really have to be a student of the business. You need to learn your loan guidelines. You need to know your products, your income calculation, how to help self-employed borrowers, down payment assistance programs, things that are specific to your market. I really think that, starting out, you really need to, that's the foundation for your business. And if there are any cracks in it, bad things can happen. So you really get in your guidelines, listen to the problem solver. Every good mortgage company has a fix-it person, right? Whether they're a non-producing pipeline manager, whether they're, producing like Matt is. Listening to them work through problems and solve them and refer to guidelines and to know that it's okay to go back and look up guidelines and, verify what you're being told. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So definitely learn your stuff. This is, again, you cannot shortcut your way into, the kind of knowledge that you need in order to be an effective person. And then the second one second piece of advice I would give is deliver bad news early. Don't be afraid of, if things happen, as we all know. And something I did early on that I definitely regretted was, trying to shield people from bad news or, changes, things that just naturally happen. So, kind of learn to deliver that not so great news early on. give everyone, the time needed to help try and figure things out. That for me was like one of the biggest learning curve aha moments. Things happen. Go ahead and communicate that to your borrower. Go ahead and communicate that to your referral partners. No one is going to be upset if you communicate those things. People only get upset when you wait till the last minute and then say, oh crap, we don't have any time to fix anything. And, now we're just kind of stuck. So.
Yeah, I love that. Great advice. And a book to go along with that too, Taylor, that Brian Tracy wrote a book that's called Eat That Frog. And it's about delivering bad news. And he says, it's called Eat a Frog for Breakfast. So he talks about, get it over with, get it done. And he says, if you have, 2 things of bad news or things you don't want to have to deal with, eat the ugliest frog first. So get the first thing out of the way.
Great tip. It's a great tip.
How many times you're like, oh man, I just don't want to do this. And you push it down and it's like, then it just really blows up. So great pieces of advice. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. Matt, thank you so much for inviting Taylor. And thanks for getting him into the business, man.
Happy to. He deserves all the success he's having, and I can't wait to see what he does with NAMB.
I definitely appreciate your guys' time. Ginger, thank you so much for having me. Matt, thank you for including me again in all the great things that you're doing. Happy to ride your coattails and let you lead the way and enjoy all the great stuff that you're introducing me to. So, and you continue to do so. I know you're doing great things over there at USA Mortgage, building out a team and crushing your own personal goals. So again, I'm just happy to see you doing what you're doing. Love it.
Appreciate you, brother. Love you, brother.
I love it. So we'll have to make sure and have a drink together. You got to come down National. Vegas.
Absolutely.
We will be there.
Yeah, we'll be there.
We will plan on that. Okay, so you guys, thanks so much for listening to this episode of the NAMB Podcast. Make sure and like, subscribe, follow, and share us. So, great piece of advice. So many nuggets in this episode. So make sure and share that. So we'll see you on the next episode. Matt, Taylor, thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the NAMB Podcast, brought to you by the National Association of Mortgage Brokers. For more episodes, resources, and guest interviews, visit nambpodcast.com. Don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you soon.